everybody. We have come to the end of October and we're now into November. And that, of course, means that we need to look back through all of the TerrainFest awesomeness that happened over the wonderful month of October, where everyone basically dug out all the stuff they had lying around, including all of that weird crap that you had under the sink, and started to make it into something useful for the tabletop. So yes, me and Jerry and the rest of the team, maybe, possibly not, have gone through the project system to have a look at all of your awesome projects. There were loads and loads of them to dive into. And we have picked out the best and the brightest. And we've chosen some winners. Yes, I said winners. Interesting. Find out more about that at the end of the show. But we're going to be looking through those and showing things off. But if you don't see yourself here, that doesn't mean that we didn't love your stuff. It was amazing. We've been showing things off throughout the entire of the month of October. And it was very cool to show all that kind of stuff off on social media and that kind of thing. But yes, we're diving in to find the greatest and the best. But before we do that, talking of someone who did an awesome job on their project.
Well, wait, before you even do that, yes. TerrainFest has been an absolute triumph.
It has.
Okay. Yep, it has been an absolute triumph. So I have a couple of announcements to make. So TerrainFest 2024, okay, will be for the will become our autumn challenge.
Oh, there you go.
It's moving from a 1 month challenge to basically to that quarter. So it'll run for autumn.
That will make Holly very happy.
That's fall for all US people.
That's fall for all you US guys. So we have the Spring Clean Challenge, which will run in spring. We have TerrainFest, which will now run in the autumn to give people more time, because it has been absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people were saying, look, I would love to keep going. I want to do a bit more. And
also, Warren wants to do a bit more. He just had time. So
yeah. And I'm going to announce now that we are introducing a new winter challenge, okay, which is called Dungeonalia. And it's our winter celebration of all things dungeon. Okay. We will be bringing you more details on that. It launches on December 1st. And it's a winter challenge where you will be able to, we'll have some different categories and stuff in there, but you'll be able to celebrate the world of dungeoneering. That could be sci-fi dungeons, fantasy dungeons. It could be all sorts of things. It can be writing. It could be modeling. It could be painting. It could be 3D printing. It could be all sorts of things, but it's our winter celebration. So while the Romans celebrated Saturn during Saturnalia, we, the new modern Romans, are going to celebrate dungeons in Dungeonalia. So Dungeonalia launches December 1st. End of the sermon, my man.
This year, not 2024. That's
a bit of an early announcement. Yeah, we're almost at the midpoint of November, so we're getting very, 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 very close.
Yeah, but they've got a couple of weeks to plan out. Start, letting ideas
get the graph paper out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you like dungeons, we like dungeons. So we're just going to get in together in our dungeon.
Yeah.
Not that dungeon.
Now you've been thoroughly told what's happening for the next however long. We'll dive into some of the projects. I thought it would be great to start off with Justin's project, because you ran your vlog series throughout the whole of the month, didn't you? Sort of looking at bringing your, as we called it, the Wargamers, or the true Wargamers 40k table to life, didn't you? So,
well, again, it's the whole concept behind it was I wanted to build a table for the folks down here at the club. So something new, fresh, that works for the style of games that we see down at the club. So the ones we see down at the club, they can get a little bit spiky, a little bit competitive. So I wanted to try and angle the table towards giving them what they would want while they're playing their games. And I would say great success. Anyone who has played on it has really enjoyed playing on it. The way that I've built it out, staying really nice and modular, has worked really well. And the fact that we kept the color palette on it pretty neutral meant they could throw any of the gaming mats we have here for them down in the club on the table, lay it out on it, and it still looks good. So I would say 100% success on my project.
Great success. Yeah.
Yes.
I would say yes.
Which we can see here.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I did want to keep it pretty simple for this year because it's the first time we were doing it, and I didn't want to overbake what I was doing in the project. But I already have some ideas for whenever it rolls around next year as to how I can improve this and actually make it a better experience for anyone following along. So one thing I might do, so obviously these are the kits I used. That was my initial idea for the map that I wanted to lay it out on.
Yeah.
And then it slowly grew and evolved as I was talking back and forth, John. Use different mats, keep it clean.
Oh, I like this. The cardboard box look. That's cool.
Hey. That is traditional Wargamer boxage, which everybody uses. But to improve it next year, I think the one thing I might want to throw in, and because we have extra time next year, is actually sit down and do a couple of more in-depth tutorials on the techniques I was using on the table. Mm-hmm. So how I get the golds to pop out, how the weathering works. Because one of the best things I used on this was the Dirty Down spray that we use. Because it was able to get a great, nice neutral color tone down that had some shifts in it, and then bring it back so that that base primer was also working really well on it. So, I mean, I'm really happy with it. And if folks have suggestions on how they would maybe like me to improve next year, go right ahead, drop them in the comments below, because I will be keeping an eye out. Because
can I just ask, because I am curious, those final 3 photographs that were taken, right?
Yeah.
They're photographs of terrain you didn't actually make.
No, I wanted to see how it integrated with other terrain ranges as well.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
So again, modularity.
I see.
I'm going to say this right now. There will be a random component in every table that just doesn't fit. The orc head lives forever.
Yes. So how did you find the Dirty Down model mates, as I still call it even to this day?
Well, the stages I took it through is I did like a multi-stage zenith on it to begin with. So I've got most of my lighting done.
Multi-stage zenith. So you primed it black.
Well, actually, I did a multi-stage zenith because some of it got primed black, some of it got primed very dark gray. And then I did a 3-stage zenith starting from different points on each component to add even more variation in there.
Okay, so explain that.
Right, so 5 colors total, going from white to black through 3 tones of gray. So some pieces started on black, some started up a level, some started up a level, to really give you a variation on that initial light. So the shadows on some were brighter than other components, and the light bits on others were darker.
So let's talk about the black one. So you took some terrain pieces and you primed them black.
Yeah.
And then did you just zenith them with white?
No. So they got a 3-stage zenith. Everything got a 3-stage zenith. So I basically from the 5. Well, if you look down through there, there should be a picture of the 5 cans I used. It's from the guys at Colorforge. So there were 5 layers of white to black and 3 grays in the middle. So I would start on black, lighter gray, and then on another piece I would start on the dark gray, lighter gray, and then I would start on the middle gray, lighter gray, white. So really adding variation in.
And was there any method to that?
Yes.
Was it the higher up stuff that got the moved up the shades and the lower down stuff kept in the dark, or did you just randomly pick some bits and pieces?
The choice on which terrain pieces got what was randomized on this, but to actually just add more variation to it, I wanted to do that before putting the Dirty Down on because it's very transparent.
Yes, yeah.
So what you do below is really going to stand out. So my thinking was, what's the fastest way I can get some variation in here, and I'll have to do a ridiculous amount of work. So that one would have started with the middle gray and went up to the white. Then we used like 2 or 3 different types of the Dirty Down on there. And then because it's the water activated stuff, we were going across it with like a scouring pad and wet cloths to bring the nice light bits of color back up. So yeah, we were using I think it worked quite well. The khaki, the black, and the rust red. And we also had the sand and the mud brown just to really change it up. And then after that step, it was really a case of picking out some colors. So you see this, it's very very gray. Even though you have a little color in there, it was then going to the later ones where I went, so those big grill sections, let's throw some of the Army Painter Gold Speed Paint down on that to break up that shape and give you points of interest where your eye is going to catch on the color.
And how did you find the metallic speed paints then for terrain?
Love them.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I haven't used them yet, but I'm planning my next project now, and the speed paints is something I definitely intend to crack open. So,
well, I'll pin my colors to the mast here. Every single one that I have used so far is superior to contrast.
Yeah.
For consistency of coverage, consistency of the actual liquid itself, superior.
Very nice.
So
Good.
Good. That's where I'm at.
One last thing I was going to say about your terrain as well. It was really nice towards the end of it, looking at the additional sort of spot colors that you put into the mix. So like working on, bringing some of the elements to life, painting in lights and that kind of stuff. It meant that the terrain was quick and easy to build up the base of it, but then finishing it off just with a couple of additional things just made it pop. And I thought it was really cool. So, yeah.
But I think that's something some folks get lost in, is they think they have to paint every last piece of detail on a piece of terrain. The terrain is not the star of the show on your table. It's there to represent what it's there as. I mean, John painted the orc head, and I think there's way too many different colors on it. But again, it's orky, and he said, look, I've got this. I'll take care of this.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with how it turned out, and hopefully everybody out there and whoever wins today and gets that set that I used to build that table is going to love it.
Cool stuff.
Well, let's see if we can see it. 2 seconds.
If you go to section 4 of the vlog, you should be able to see.
Let's get stuck in. Oh, you changed the math that it's on.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I was saying. I kept the palette on it pretty neutral, so it could sit on any gaming mat.
That's a nice touch, actually. Yeah.
But if you look here, see what I was talking about with those big flashes of gold and silver mixed in there. To pull out just some of those different shapes.
Yeah.
And then obviously John did the little bit of airbrush because I refused to touch an airbrush.
Oh, dude, you're missing out, man. The airbrushing is not as difficult as you think. So,
it's less.
And are all the metallics on this speed paint metallics?
Yeah, and if you have a look, some of the light parts, so like cabling and stuff, are parts where I've thrown down a silver and then thrown a colored speed paint over the top of it. So it's got that little shine coming through that transparent paint.
Yeah,
it's a really nice way to trick your eye into thinking, oh, they've done a highlight on there. So it's me cheating, but cheating that works.
Oh, I really like this. I really like this, and the terrain pieces are nice.
There's the orc head.
And there's the orc head with how many is too many colors now? Justin,
that many.
I think more than 3, is it?
That many. I don't know how many he put on there.
That was John not paying attention to you as well.
That was John going, yeah, it's nice. Just totally focused. He's working on a Swedish army at the minute.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, man. That was an excellent job. Did you enjoy it? That's the main thing of TerrainFest is did you enjoy it?
I really did, and it feels really good to have a table that people enjoy playing on. So it's one of those things. Anyone who's doing like a gaming table for TerrainFest, at the end of it, it's not just you who's getting to enjoy it; it's all your friends that are going to get to play on it with you. So to me, that's one of the best bits of it, is sharing the work you've done with them.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty proud of myself, and I'm really looking forward to next year. Next year, if you have suggestions for what I should do, what ranges I should work on, again, drop them below.
Take more photos.
More pictures.
I know you got videos, but take some photos too.
Yeah, well done, my man. So Ben, can we explore some of the community's projects, because that's what this is all about. Yeah, we get involved, but we can't win anything. So it's I want to see who was in with a shot.
Yeah, sure. So we'll look through a couple of showcase projects that I wanted to just dive into and have a look at what people have been working on up at. So the first one of these is commodorerob. This was a really fascinating one. So we see a lot of commodorerob's work on miniatures, but this was quite interesting because it was the first time that we'd actually seen a lot of terrain being explored as part of a project. And this one was very good as well because it sort of fitted in quite nicely with what might be coming up in the future for Dungeonalia and stuff. Because we have a very nice inn that was built up, and this one was a really nice one because it kind of dived into a lot of scratch building bits and pieces, loads of use of different materials. getting across that thing that we looked at last week in the Weekender when we were looking at projects for Wargamers, where we were seeing the way that the buildings have been made for that and stuff. And it was just really good looking at all the different techniques that have been used, all the different elements, lots of scratch building things, as I say, lots of carving of foam and all that kind of stuff too. And even though the inn wasn't necessarily finished at the end of it, it was just a really good in-depth tutorial sort of showcasing the development of the build and everything else in between. So it was
Rob, that is superb, my man. You know, lollipop sticks, everything hand carved.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fab.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like you can buy a lot of large inns and taverns and stuff in MDF and all that kind of thing, already pre-cut and stuff for you. But taking the time to actually dive in, do all of this yourself using foam and plasticard and everything else in between, I think was really great. And it was something that me and Jerry really enjoyed about the final product. So yeah, very cool.
Did he name the inn?
I don't know if the inn is named.
Oh, Rob, you need to name that inn.
Do you know what?
It's literally just called the Nice Inn.
I'm gonna, in your honor, kiddo, I'm gonna ask them to call it the Just Inn.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I thought he was gonna call it something like the Robber's Nest or something.
No, we'll call it the Just Inn, where the just go to drink their pints.
There we go. Yeah.
So we now have our fantasy equivalent of Premier Inn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is plan. Yeah.
I think.
I love that.
Yeah. This was also a good lesson in. I love that it's weighed down with historicals in small scale as well. The thing that's really good about this is that I think it shows how important planning is in the process. So if you start out with a good plan, it gives you steps that you'll be able to follow through to completion. So, you know, you've got an end goal in sight, and once you've done 5 of the 10 steps, you know, you're halfway there kind of thing. And I think that's really cool. But yeah, it was really nice seeing the work from Commodore Rob on this one. It was very good.
Rob, fantastic work. Excellent. But you're not a winner.
No.
You're a winner in my book, man. You're a winner in my book. Right, who's next?
Next up, we're going to be looking at the work from 144 Artist, who went in a little bit of a different route. So we're still seeing buildings and stuff, obviously, as you might imagine, but moving from fantasy through to cyberpunky stuff. So 144 Artist was trying to build up a large Blade Runner style city using a whole bunch of the terrain that you can get from Blacksite Studios. And this was really interesting because we've moved. And this show was a kind of a case throughout everything we saw in TerrainFest. We saw people working on stuff that was entirely scratch built, through to things where it was lots of occasional sort of DIY elements thrown into existing MDF kits and everything else in between. And so it was really nice seeing all of these come together. And one of the things that was great about this is not only was it showing off all the different showcases of the builds and sort of putting it all together, working with the MDF and all that kind of thing, but the final painted stuff as well is just lovely. And it was just great to see somebody be like, right, I want to build a city. I'm going to get as many pieces as I could possibly get and paint them up and get them ready for the tabletop. So it was a really nice one here from 144 Artist.
Is this for Infinity mainly? He's building this, or did he say?
I will have a look for you 1 second. But as we look at these lovely, but here you can see some of the painted ones and the plastic bits that we use for it.
Stupendous work there. So,
is there a table layout towards the end? Is there? Let me get the.
Just scroll through and see what you see.
Whoa, what's he doing here? Ooh.
But I think it's just being used for generic sci-fi, cyberpunky goodness on the tabletop, basically. But
I love the hotel.
But yeah, I really it was this stuff that was really cool. It was the abundance of stuff. And it was the final look of all the painted elements as well. Which
they're
really
really
nice.
big buildings.
Look at God, they are some size, aren't they?
A little bit Kill Bill right there.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it does remind me of Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Wait, was it the Crazy 17 or something that need to be in there? Or the Crazy 8?
Crazy 8.
Yeah, the one where Oren Oshii was, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
Is the plants part of it? Or is this a different project?
No, so the plants is part of it as well. So they were being used. They'd previously been picked up as part of the terrain crate, and so they were being built up as well as part of the sci-fi bits and pieces, which I thought was quite nice. But it's a good collection of all sorts of different things being brought together to create a really fun and interesting sci-fi tabletop, and a mix of finished stuff as well as half.
Look, my neck is tingling, man. I'm enjoying this so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I think again, this really sort of dives into the ingenuity that comes with terrain creating.
I would never have thought of raiding on Summers for your bits. That's cool.
See, one of the things I'm loving most about this is they're not just going, oh, I'm just going to buy MDF kits. They're mixing all those different elements together and making them work and look good together. That's a real challenge, and I salute you for that.
It's fantastic.
Planters.
Lloydie, don't you worry. For next TerrainFest, you can get involved. And I actually have a bunch of Ann Summers and Love Honey stuff, all pre-used that I'm finished with now. That I will pack up and bring down to you.
No, you're right. There's a reason. There's a reason they don't have like a used sales on these things.
I'm staying out of this one, folks. I have a real lesson.
A great collection of sci-fi, cyberpunky terrain there from.
Congratulations, 144 artist. I don't know how you didn't win, man, but that was awesome. Love that. Right, who's next?
Next up, we're going to be looking towards something that I think a lot of people tend to have a little bit of trouble with when it comes to building terrain, and that is making rivers. So this one.
I thought you were about to say Rome.
No, that will be perpetually a problem until Lloyd solves it. Of course,
it's not. It's his bloody kits. I'm not doing it.
Well,
so return to sender.
Yeah. So this one comes from Ojenserud, who built a project which was all about making.
Hey, look at
river.
This. For Saga, for example.
Oh, yes.
That may have been put in to draw Jerry's eye.
Playing to the judges.
But yes.
I like the test posts. One test.
Removed. Yep. So clearly we need a delete button in the project system. So,
yes. But
they make these rivers.
Yeah, so these were scratch-built rivers for wargaming. Wow. And as I say, it's one of the things that I think a lot of people get a little bit sort of anxious about doing, because you're playing around with stuff like clear resins and all that kind of stuff and glue and that kind of thing. You're trying to make it so that it feels natural and it doesn't feel like it's out of place. You don't want to turn it into just a canal, do you? Well, I mean, I like canals, but you don't want to make it into one if you're going to be diving into the Dark Ages and stuff like that. But I think the final look of this river was amazing, and it was really nice looking through the sort of steps that Ojenserud went through when it came to building this up, talking about how you go through all the process of building the water effects and everything else like that. And the fact that it's been done in such a way that, it's going to be great for use in sort of Dark Agey style tabletops and that kind of thing.
You can use it in anything.
Could be used in anything. Rivers are great, and they also help to do really nice things with the board in terms of objectives and scenarios and all that kind of thing as well.
And cutting paths so that you can't go across. Heck, you could look at rivers that it works in Halo, for goodness sake. If you wanted to play Halo at 28 mil or whatever, it works fine. The other beautiful thing about rivers is they don't necessarily have a built-in scale. So they'll work perfectly with your 6 mil right up to your 28 mil. It is an absolute genius piece of terrain making that. Love that. Absolutely love that.
And it was really nice because at the start, sort of Ojenserud sort of laid out what they were going to use. They were like, right, I've bought all this kit to make the rivers, and we're just going to go from there. And so it was using a lot of the woodland scenic stuff and that kind of thing, to like the water effects and the glues. There you go. There's the kit. So if you want to make yourself a river, that's what you need. Boom.
I'm going to have to go into this project and have a look at the water effects to see what he came up with.
But it was very cool.
My project
the pre-shading is very important, though, if you put the water effects down, because that's how you get all the shading in your river.
Yeah, but that's where you're always going to have the biggest fear moment, is as soon as you throw that water effect on top, if you mess it up, all the work you've done before that gets lost. So,
but I don't think you can mess it up. I think that that's something that people have got in their heads, but I don't actually think you can mess it up. I think if it's just going to dry clear at the end of the day.
Yeah, this stuff here is not as fiddly as like a big resin pour.
Oh yeah, like a 2-part resin pour or something. Yeah.
it is just put it down and spread it out, and because it's such a thin layer, even getting bubbles and stuff out of it should be relatively easy. I think. I
mean, I have seen people work with things like this, and they'll throw like a hairdryer over the top of it, so the heat actually makes the bubbles break.
Yeah, and at the scale we work at, a few bubbles don't necessarily look particularly bad.
No, it's just the guy that's drowning in his armor.
You want to get them out, though, if you want to do the stuff like Warren's saying, where it's like, oh, it's 15 mil today and it's 28 mil tomorrow. If you get rid of the bubbles, it'll help.
Yeah.
Just one final point more on that river thing. I think one of the nice things about doing the pre-shading stuff beforehand is it gives the illusion of depth without you having to build depth into a river, which I think is good. Means less water effects and resin and all that kind of thing. But anyway.
It also means that your rivers don't bulge up on your gaming team. Look, the times have changed, right? So much as we miss the full-on gaming table where everything's carved into hard foam and stuff like that, for many of us, it became impossible to store. Gaming mats have been the way to go now for a number of years. So having these set-on pieces are great, but obviously anything you set on top of a gaming mat elevates. And rivers tend not to elevate. They tend to go down. So the way he's done this to keep it nice and flat, I think has been absolutely brilliant. If I'm exploring this, which I think I will, what I'm going to have a look at very specifically is the underlying base material that it's made on, because if you use a material that warps, such as card or even I've found even foam core, once you add PVA and stuff to it, can actually start to warp and lift at the edges. That would be a real pain in the arse. So I'm interested to know what is the thinnest material that you can get that won't warp. Like, could it be 1 mil aluminium, for example? But then can you get your stuff to stick to it? See what I mean? There's an exploration. There's an opportunity here to have a look at this.
The one thing I'd probably play around with if I was doing it is maybe looking to see if I could make it magnetized and hide the magnets in bushes in between the 2 points where they butt up. Because nothing annoys me more than playing and the river gets moved and you're constantly rebuilding the table. That drives me around the bend. It drives me around the meander.
Oh, there we go. Very good. Next up, we've got a project that comes from Draconis, and this one is very much a project that is all about numbers, I guess, over like small detail. So this is Draconis, who basically went, right, I've got a month, let's build as many terrain projects as possible.
Hey!
So this combined together a whole bunch of different things. So,
oh my gosh.
Ambition.
There is classic Deadzone terrain in here. There is building fantasy terrain for Kings of War and Vanguard. There's building Mordheim terrain in here as well. Basically, Draconis went through, and when me and Jerry were sitting down to look through this, we were like, okay,
is this part of the project here, or is this what came out of the project?
So this is part of the building of, this was some of the things that were built for this. Okay. So yes, this was there. So yeah, there were a whole bunch of different things that came together to build, came together to build for this. So there's all the Deadzone stuff that had all been sort of bashed together, lots of cleaning up, building up all the modular elements and that kind of thing. There's the fantasy bits of things that we'll look at later as well, and then all the Mordheim stuff too. So as I know you were very much a fan of the Deadzone stuff, Warren, we thought this one would quite work for you, which was very nice. So yeah, and there's some of the...
Draconis just went nuts!
Yes.
Congratulations, well done, Draconis.
What's quite nice...
Wouldn't be a wargamer if you didn't get distracted, my man.
Very true, yes. What was quite nice is that when you're looking through it, you can see like Project 1, done. Project 2, done. Project 3, done.
Hang on. If they completed 3 projects, that's damned impressive.
It is impressive.
It's seriously impressive.
Yeah. And it's the fact that there's like a whole bunch of stuff that's been sort of brought over from previous half-baked things or finishes, things that didn't quite get finished, and sort of working through and building things up and playing around with it. But then also the fact that a lot of detail went into a lot of the stuff as well. So, you know, there's still weathering in there. There's still lots of work on hazard lines and things like that. So it wasn't just sort of slapdash bashing things together. It was, you know, working around with a whole host of different things in order to bring it to life, which was good. So yeah, very nice. Very cool stuff indeed.
Oh, I haven't even got halfway through this project.
Exactly.
Goodness me.
I'm trying to get to the fantasy stuff here.
Well, there you go. There's there's the Vanguard stuff that was worked on. So there's like fires and rune stones and all that kind of thing as well. And you can see that they're all dated as well. So, you know, you can see how things were going as they went through the project. So it's all the objective pieces and all that kind of stuff that was worked on. And again,
he really was flogging a dead horse in this one.
I think it was a case of, oh, well, I'm done with that one. I've still got 2 weeks. I can do another.
Yeah.
I'm done with that one. I can do another.
Yeah, I'll just scratch build a Mordheim building.
Lovely.
There you go.
That's a game I've always wanted to play, but I missed the boat on it.
Mordheim's great.
I would love to give it a go.
Yeah, but yeah. Amazing stuff across the board. I think you'll find there from Draconis that should get you
some Mordheim.
Congratulations, Draconis. You didn't win this year, but man, next year you're going to get 3 months to do this, dude.
You never know.
So you will do 12 projects.
We might expand our prize pool for next year. You never know. So.
I think we might have to. I really do think we might have to. I feel so guilty jumping over these ones. I can't wait to see the winners, for goodness sake, because these are amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Moving on, we're going to be looking at another project that was very much about sort of like building at scale, but it was also about, similar to what you did, Justin, kind of been like, right, I've got a game to play. I want to build some terrain for this game. So we're diving into some work by blipvertus, who did some really nice stuff when it came to building the Old West. This may have popped up as something to showcase because I may be doing some Wild West training myself. And this was giving me some ideas. So yeah, this was some Wild West terrain that was being designed for Fistful of Lead. And it was just great seeing the process that blipvertus went through to bring all of the stuff to life, working with all the different colors and all that kind of thing, and sort of basically taking those MDF kits and turning them into something beautiful.
The other thing, mini painting as well.
Yeah,
with it at the same time.
Yeah. The thing that was really good.
Oh, this is a vault.
It is a vault. It's a little bank vault that they can blow up. Yeah, and this is one of the things that's really nice about this project is that it's just packed full of little details. So it's not just doing the Wild West terrain and the buildings, and that's the end of it. It's doing the terrain. It's putting the posters and the signs and the details on. It's working on things like cacti and pianos and bars and all that kind of stuff as well. And you'll scroll through as we dive into this, you'll see these pop up. There's also wallpapering and patterning on the inside of buildings.
All right, Lawrence. All right.
Are the cacti scratch built? Because it's something Jerry always tells me, trying to find cacti is an absolute pain in the backside.
I think they are I think they're ones that you can buy because
I have a great one for you on cacti.
Yeah.
My and Lloyd's little sister made us some cacti one time, right?
Yeah.
And she made a whole pile of them. I like to call them cactuses. So she made us all these cactuses, right? And she made them out of clay, and she presented them to us, and they look beautiful. They're all beautifully painted and everything. Mm-hmm. But she actually used pins for the spike. Right. So every time me and Lloyd play with them, all you heard was an effing and jeffing session.
It's like, okay, you don't need to be that realistic with it. Oh, don't like this at all.
Yeah, no. I do like the Django Unchained reference with the dentist.
I don't like this at all.
The dentist.
It's a nice movie reference they've added in.
Well,
yeah, it's very cool.
Go you.
That's a wonderful project. And that came at the perfect time for you, Ben, because you're totally getting into your Wild West these days.
Yes. And I have it all sitting there ready to follow all of these ideas and paint things with color. Yes, I will paint them with color.
So, what the heck is this? Some book? More posters.
Yeah, this, and I say this is one of the things that I think is really nice. Just the work on the posters and all the extra details and things really helps sell the pieces, which is always good to see. So yeah, very nice.
It's always those tiny bits that catch your eye that make a gaming table really jump out at you.
Yeah, especially if you're playing a skirmish game as well, where and there's the wallpapering. There you go.
I like
that actual wallpapering inside the building. Yeah.
I like that he's ventured out into colored buildings.
Yeah,
rather than just this Western town is just all brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was mine, unfortunately, at the moment. But there we go.
It would be mine too if I built a Western town. It would be all brown because I just.
Yeah, but Lord, you don't need to worry about that because you know that we're all just waiting for Rome.
It'll haunt you till you change your mind.
Which is all just transparent. You can't see it at all.
Congratulations, blipvertus. You didn't win either.
but you got highlighted, right?
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
Honorable mention.
Also remember that throughout the
With
rest
my love and respect.
Yeah. Also remember
some
that throughout the
internet
month of October, we have been doing prizes through the weekender. So there will be people who've got their projects that have won things through creating things and that kind of stuff as well. So
Right.
don't worry too much.
Anybody else?
Yes, we have one more project that we're going to look at before we move on to talk about Warren stuff. So this one comes from Hutch, who we know is a fantabulous terrain builder. And Hutch has been building a wonderful steampunk city for use in all sorts of strange Victoriana sci-fi pulpy stuff. So this was the gaslight city that is just lovely. Hutch does stuff on another scale. And I don't mean just like, wargaming scale. I mean, doesn't do things by halves.
So he and his terrain is built different.
Yeah. And so it's always fascinating seeing what Hutch is building. And in this case, it was a whole bunch of very nice steampunky, pulpy stuff that could be used for Martian invasions and everything else in between. Lots of big 3D printed buildings and everything as well. This is just one of the 2 projects that Hutch did for this, because there's like a big, huge like bridge that he's worked on as well.
Yeah.
But it's a stunning project that is going to be the envy of anybody who's ever wanted to walk massive tripod-style aliens down streets.
The lights light up. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Do the lights light up? Because I was looking at them going, I think I was recently looking at lights like this on Amazon.
There's a
there we
down
go.
there,
Yeah.
cabling.
Light up lights.
Yeah. So yes, Hutch is very much an honourable mention when it comes to this, because
if you had this for Blood and Steel.
Yeah. Oh, this would be great for that kind of stuff. Or any of the big pulp games that are going to be worked on over the next while from various companies and things. But it's a great project showing off lots of 3D printing and lots of good painting and building, and the use of character building within your terrain as well, I think, which is quite nice. So yeah, very nice, very good stuff.
That one has blown me away.
Yeah. It's very cool,
Absolutely.
but it's not a winner. That's Warren would say.
Straight.
And left asking how.
Oh, come on. Look at it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
Gringotts.
Yeah. Very
cool.
cool.
Hutch.
As I say, me and Jerry had an exceptionally hard job when it came to looking through this. We sat down. There were, I don't know how many 40 plus projects or something that we had to look through, and every single one of them in some way was like this is just great. So we had a very hard time sort of nailing it down to what we wanted to pick out.
That's just insanely awesome.
It's giving me those instant levels of want.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh,
but yeah.
And he didn't win either.
No.
I'm still only halfway through this project.
Yeah, look, right.
Oh, did he do the modeling too?
Some of it, yeah, as you can see, yeah. Look, right, you can complain to Jerry. I'll give Jerry.
It just makes me feel like a minnow. It really does. I might just give up now. But no, I'm not going to give up. I'm inspired. I'm inspired by it.
Don't get put off by people doing.
Yeah, never get disheartened.
Use it as inspiration.
How did you make your 3D printer print so much in 1 month?
He probably has many 3D printers.
I actually have a Kickstarter for that for you. I think it's got like a 1.5 square bed on it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I've seen this. The new, I think it's a new Creality machine. It's like
the Gigantor.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes, Warren, your project.
Well, I want to swap things around a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
I just want to do an honorable mention of my little boy, Max.
Sure.
Okay. There's a couple of projects there, Lloyd, just related to Max. Max happened to get a school project just as TerrainFest launched, where he was learning about Egyptians, and he was tasked with making an Egyptian Shaduf. So a Shaduf is a little like a water thing that they use for pulling water out of a hole or out of a stream or something like that. Mm-hmm. So Maxie came home and said he has to make a Shaduf, and Andrea said to him, well, go on out into the garden and clip some twigs. And I said, stop, boy. TerrainFest is on. This is your chance. This is your chance. So I brought him down with me, and we did some research, and then we gathered a whole pile of stuff together for him to have a play with. And this is the result of his project. He actually made a Shaduf, and it's really cute. It is
very cool.
Really very proud of him.
You swapped these sprues here out for branches then?
He made them into branches.
Yeah, so you used the sprues instead.
Yeah. If you go through, so he just, I uploaded a wee photo story for him. So if you start at the top, Lloyd, and then go down, I can quickly describe the process just as you scroll through it. So we did some research online, and then I basically got him a pile of stuff, little Hearst art blocks and a base, and I got him some old sprues and things like that. And I said, look, here, kid, have a look, see what you can come up with. So he basically just started playing around and building it all together to see what he could kind of come up with. And we did get a wee picture that showed some Egyptians along a riverbank all using Shaduf. So we thought we would try to redo that one. So I was showing them about cork and how to use cork and stuff in it.
You're seeing these pictures okay, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So then when it came to the sprue, this is an interesting one because I was really pleased with how this actually worked out. So we got the sprues, clipped them out, shaved them off, and then he went at them. See there with this little mini saw blade? So it's a little circular saw blade that we have, and he just scrapes it up the side of it, and it puts the wood grain and the bark into it. And when they were painted, they turned out absolutely fine. So it was a great way to do it. Clearly, Maxie's not a very tall chap yet, so he was 3 feet on a chair to try and get up there to get into to do the gluing. So he had it all laid out. Then he broke up the cork to create the layers, and then just glued it all together. And then I was showing him how to use bicarbonate of soda to create texture. It's my favorite means for creating texture. So bicarbon super glue. And we had moments where I was explaining, do not get this on your skin because it will burn. So yeah, but it worked well. And then he had a lot of fun with the priming.
What's this? Is this a burn?
That's a dirty finger, Lloyd. So I was explaining to him about Zenith and how it creates shadows and highlights. And I said, and when you go to use the paints, then that'll make it look even better. So I then let him go mad at some of my contrast paints and just let him slop it all on. And then give him some wee bits and pieces of foliage and plants to stick down on it. Mm-hmm. And away he went. And I helped him from time to time, but the vast majority of this he just rattled away at and had a lot of fun at it. Mm-hmm. And I think he really enjoyed the process, and he was excited about having it appear on TerrainFest. So yeah, I said to him, I'll pull a couple of strings, kiddo. I'll get you on that there, so it's you can show off what you did.
Okay, he must have blown every other kid out of the water when he got back to school.
Well, yeah, he'd made a wee project booklet, because he was worried that his teacher wouldn't believe that he did it. let's put the photographs into a wee project booklet. He needs to get off, and he was too shy to hand it in.
Oh,
so he was.
I like the fact that the water's part of it, though. That isn't just a Shaduf on its own that you would set aside. Or you actually built it as a little diorama with the water and everything.
Yeah. And I would just like to state that the bucket is not the tip of one of my king size Johnnies. That's a super king.
Of course.
So yeah, so my kid got stuck in and got involved in the TerrainFest. So 8 years old, he loved it. So if you have youngsters out there, our challenges are always open to youngsters getting involved. So yeah, do reach out. Bring in your kids, your siblings, whoever, to get involved. And then there was my project.
Yes.
Woo-wee. I was quite proud of this project until we went through that whole bloody list, and now I feel so inadequate. But I took the
I got to go first.
Yeah, I took the opportunity to have a crack at building the Siege of Acre in 15 mil. So anybody who watches XLBS and is a part of our backstage or Cult of Games community will know, because I've talked a few times about the Siege of Acre. It's a place that I am really, really interested in, just because of its significance, not only throughout the Crusades, but also later on. So, like with any project, it all started with some research. So I was printing out maps, and I got myself these 2 books from Osprey. Highly recommend these. Okay, so we've got Saracen Strongholds, 1100 to 1500. So that kind of gives you some information on how the kind of the Arabic method, or the Arab method of creating strongholds and the likes. It's an interesting book to flick through. And then you have the Crusader castles in the Holy Land from 1097 to 1192. Now, I would like to just to put a wee shout out to Osprey. I was never one for picking up Osprey books and stuff like that for projects in the past, but obviously old age is setting in now, and they are rapidly becoming my go-to for that kind of thing, because I like to sit and flick through them at night in bed. And I find them interesting enough. You don't have to read them from cover to cover. I kind of look at the pictures, and then and then when I see something of interest, I can flick back a couple of pages to the start of that chapter and work my way through it. But as reference material, you don't get much better if I'm being honest. It really is some super work. So
you're under the covers at night. Oh, look at that there. Look at that.
Oh, what, the flashlight over your shoulder?
Oh, look at that castle.
So these were created by Adam Hook. David Nicole did the writing, and it was illustrated by Adam Hook. So that's my shout out to those. Highly recommend that kind of thing. Other than that, a bunch of research online. I bought. Where
are the maps from? Are they from online?
So I bought that from a past issue of Wargames, Soldiers and Strategies, or something like that. And then some of the other maps are printed out, or maps actually from the period itself. And then what I've done is in some cases I used AI to upscale them, just so as I could get a slightly higher resolution to be able to zoom in. And then I printed a few out just so as I could I'm still quite old fashioned in that way. I can't sit and just browse on my phone. I have to have a printout and look around. So I then gathered up some bits and pieces, because obviously Acre has been something that I've been interested in for a number of years. So I've had some bits and pieces that I have been kind of built up. So I just gathered everything together that I had, and then just started the process of layout, just to see. There was a few wee bits and pieces I wanted to add. The Trojan rabbit had to go in, So
ultimately, the most historically accurate thing on the
board. Absolutely. These balconies were if you go back a picture, Lloyd. Yeah, these wee balconies. I 3D printed out some extra wee bits and pieces just to change things up and to change the feel of something and break up a lot of the uniformity that would be there. So I was experimenting with little balconies and the likes. And then I got to do my first kind of layout. So I threw down a desert map, and I just started placing things to try and get a feel for where stuff could go, how close to Acre could I make it feel. And during a project like this, you'll do a lot of kind of framing and repositioning and stuff as you start to get a feel for it, because you're never going to be able to build the city accurately at this scale. All you can ever do really is a representation of it, because you're trying to get a balance of something that looks like Acre, has some of the features of Acre, but still is a great canvas to play a cool game on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not for mass battles. Okay. So I was going for something that would be more skirmishy. In other words, the battle would take place from the moment the walls are breached, and I wanted street to street fighting. So keep that in mind, that's where I was going with that. However, you will notice that when I was laying it out on the desert mat, I was looking at it and I thought to myself, it looks nice. But a couple of things were happening. One is I was missing the old school fully sculpted tables that we no longer have space for. Do you remember the inspirational stuff you used to see in White Dwarf and everything that you always aspire to have? Well, we've built a few of them over the years, and you know what? None of them are here because I can't store them. I don't believe any of you guys would be able to run any in your house either. I have a gaming room, and I couldn't even store them, you know? So I've fell in love with gaming mats. But the gaming mat wasn't cutting it for me this time. And the reason for that was elevation. I was having real problems because Acre is a port. It's a port city. And that is the key to its strategic importance, is the fact that it is accessible via the sea. So the Crusaders would have been coming from Cyprus or Malta, and then they would come at it from the sea. So it is strategically really important, and the port aspect of it is key. So I wanted to model some of the port in there. Now, I could have just kept it all flat and cut out a bit and put some sea down and the other mat. But the other thing about Acre, which is a key part for me anyway, is it has a dry moat. So it has a moat around the outer walls, and it's a dry moat. So again, how do you model a dry moat? So all of these things made me come at this and say, look, I want the best of both worlds here. Okay, I want something that it would be just as convenient as my neoprene mats for storage, but just as cool as one of the sculpted tables that I've always loved ever since I was picking up White Dwarf and whatever else. Mm-hmm. So Brother Lloyd inspired me because Brother Lloyd is the king of upholstery foam.
Yeah. You know it.
Nobody has done more damage to upholstery foam over the years than our brother Lloyd.
Not even that guy.
King.
That's it. Not even the guy who claimed he did it in the 80s and now has no proof.
So I happen to have, from a previous incarnation when we were all getting into the foamy stuff, I happen to have a sheet of, I think it was like 1 inch foam, 1 inch upholstery foam, 6x4. Okay. So that dirty blanket type thing that's lying on the ground is, that's the bit of foam that I found. And I thought to myself,
oh, it was this color. I thought this was you painting it.
No, that's discoloration from mold and lying in a shed.
Lovely.
The patina of storage.
Oh yes. So so either that or the cat's pissed on it or something. You know, who knows?
Great.
Oh, that's just extra flavor, Warren. It's fine.
Nah, it was fine. So that's it there, going through a strategic process of flattening out because it had been rolled up in a tube for a long time. So I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to be completely inspired by Brother Lloyd, and I'm going to give this upholstery foam a go. So I did. I set it down and I started to lay out. Now, at this point, things start to get serious, okay? Because whatever you lay out at this point, when you start plucking that foam, you're going to start you're going to start getting locked in to the actual layout that you're going to end up with. So on this, I was marking shore, or sort of decreasing elevations coming down. So them orange marks, we're going to mark it decreasing down towards the shoreline. The blue was kind of like the hard outline, and then the black was going to be the dry moat. So the other thing Acre has is it has a kind of like a long stretchy out bit where the Tower of Flies is, which is just south of the port. And then it also, the castle, the fortress wall also extends out into the sea a little bit as well. So I wanted to get them in as they're kind of like key little signatures of what makes Acre. And yeah, so I then got into cutting myself, and oh boy, did I cut myself.
So, but I didn't click on that picture.
Thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate that.
So the foam gradually
falls off his chair.
Yeah, the foam gradually became red as it became absolutely saturated in my blood, because there was no really easy way to cut it. So I did.
Anyone squeamish? Close your eyes now. Oh wait, crap! I have to edit this. That's all you get.
It's all right. It's only a wee slice on the thumb. It's nothing serious. So. But what you're doing is you're kind of slicing into it with a razor blade and plucking it at the same time. So it's just kind of getting it all out. It's laborious, it's messy, but do you know what? It's not as messy as working with polystyrene, if I'm being honest. That loose white.
It's much easier to pick it up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is much easier to pick it up. So, and yeah, it was interesting. At this stage, though, I was planning on coating the whole thing with a texture, because I wanted it to have that kind of like a sandy, deserty kind of a texture. Offcuts that I pulled off from where the ocean is, I repurposed into two kind of raised elevations over at this side, and put them in and blended them in with super glue. Actually, yeah, it was super glue. Give it a nice solid.
Nice
thing. One of those hills is actually, as you'll discover later, it was used by Napoleon whenever he decided to siege this city in 1799. So
with his special skills.
So as you can see, there's a lot of kind of dry fitting goes along in this project. You do a bit, and then you stop and you go back and you bring it all back together and test fit again, make some changes, because over on the side, see the side with the wee church? Yeah, right. Well, over on the far side of that, okay, no, the other side of that, yeah, over there, you'll see later on, I cut into that and created an ocean on that, because that is actually seafront. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna make it seafront, because there was so little land there anyway for it to really not serve much of a purpose in a game perspective. So it was another signature of Acre that I could add to make it have these features that make it look right. I think I then started to experiment with Magimix. Now, the purpose of using foam was so that I could roll it up and put it away. So I couldn't just use our normal Magimix. Our normal Magimix works perfectly fine on foam, but your foam then has to be stored flat. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I tried an experiment which used a combination of PVA, bicarbonate of soda, pigment powders, and then some various grain sizes of cork.
Chocolate cookies.
That's a second experiment. I'll come to that experiment in a second. So this first experiment, which looks like baby diarrhea, really, it didn't go well. it didn't go well. Firstly, amazingly, and you thought I would have known this, the bicarbonate basically frothed all over the place, which I wasn't expecting. I should have, but I didn't.
That's why they power little toy submarines with them.
It is, yes. But the end result was really weird because it was flexible. I wanted to create something flexible, and it was highly flexible, but it was so easy to tear apart, and it just crumbled apart. And the other really disconcerting thing about it is it stayed really cold. So every time you touched it, it felt cold and clammy. A wet handshake. And it was like,
weird alien corpse.
It was like some sort of weird alien floppy handshake. I didn't like that. No, I didn't like that at all.
Right. So Warren needs to add under table heating so it feels warm like a desert.
Yeah, so I gave up on that and I went to try a plan B. Now, plan B was using silicone adhesive. Tech 7 we tend to use. So I got myself a tube of brown Tech 7 and then used white spirit to cut that to try and make it more liquidy, because I thought to myself, if I can thin the Tech 7, I could then kind of almost like paint it on. So that second image that you had there, Lloyd, if you can bring it back up. Right. So the cookie, what looks like a little cat turd over there. Yeah. That's basically uncut Tech 7 mixed with some stuff. Okay. So I wanted to see what is it like just straight out of the can, kind of mixed with some stuff and plotted down. What's the end result going to look like? And is paint going to adhere to it, or will paint crack off it? So on and so forth. If you go back an image, but over on this side where the dark brown is, that was it cut with white spirit to try and make it more liquidy. Okay. So I went with the...
Which side? The right side?
No, that's the solid side. That's the liquidy side. Yeah. Oh. You see the way
less fiber.
You see the way it absorbed into the foam. Yeah. So that's the one that I went with, the liquidy one. And as you can see, didn't go well. Didn't go particularly well at all, actually. So if you scroll down then to the next phase of the project, I then got to work painting, and I had a can of desert yellow. So I thought to myself, I'll throw a cover over the gaming table and just start putting down some desert yellow. Now
which is a nice thing about foam. This sort of upholstery foam, you can spray it. It's not like polystyrene that gets eaten by spray cans.
Yeah, no, this takes spray cans perfectly well. Now you could also just use, your big craft tubes of acrylic paint? You could use that, but I didn't want to use that because there's an extremely long drying time with that.
Because you're essentially painting a sponge.
Yeah, and it just soaks in, and then it has to dry all the way through.
It has to dry all the way through. It takes a very long time. I didn't have time for that. So I thought to myself, I'll just use the spray cans for this. So that was my start with some desert yellow. And then I popped on some of the Magi mix that I had made. So you can see in the dry moat all of the texture and stuff that had went in there. I wasn't convinced by it at this stage, and that's why I haven't put any of that texture anywhere else on the board. I had originally planned to do something like that texture across the entire board, but by this stage I was so unconvinced by it. I thought to myself, right, I'm not gonna add it anywhere else until I can see. But what I had discovered by that point was that I was liking the results of shaping the foam by cutting stuff away from it and scraping it and sanding it. I was liking the results of that better than I was the results of adding stuff to the foam, if you know what I mean. So the subtractive method of sculpting it was giving me better results even at this stage than an additive approach of adding Magi mixes and things like that to it. So that was fine. I think at that stage it all started to get a bit messy because the actual Magimix, the thinned down Tech 7 was taking ages to dry. Like, I mean, it sat here for 2 or 3 days and it was still just wringing wet. So if you go to the next phase of the project, at one point I gave up basically, and I took it outside and hung it up like a bed sheet just to try and get it out into the air to see if it would dry.
I thought you were going to say you got ready to burn it, and then we're like, no.
Bit of sunshine, bit of heat.
There's no burning it. Basically, I just hung it up because the bottom of it was just taking ages to dry. So I then took it into the workshop because it was all starting to get messy. So I changed location, and you'll notice that the vast majority of the mix just came out.
Right. Yeah.
So I just thought, bugger that. I'm just going to scrape it out. And I said, I will make up for that with how I paint it. I will paint it and work it differently. So some of it was very well adhesed to the thing, and some of it just wasn't. But that was okay. I didn't mind.
That actually gives you a better effect.
Well, I do you know what? I think I looked into a better effect anyway, because then once I started to actually paint it, so this was me going back over it then with the various spray cans. I was starting to think, I think this is actually going to work a bit better.
Yeah.
And as you'll see, as the project continues, it comes okay at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like wastage, so I rarely have a failed 3D print that I can't find use of somewhere. The top of this didn't print properly, so I thought to myself, that's fine. That can be the front gate.
You just destroyed it. Yeah.
I'll just destroyed it. So whatever rubble that Maxi didn't use in his project, I chucked on the top of that, glued it into place, and then I threw a sheet over the whole foam thing, and I brought all my 3D printed bits in, and then started the whole priming process for all of the little accoutrements in the boats. Yes, there are 2 Napoleonic ships in there, and that's because I got completely distracted by by the fact that Acre was also attacked by Napoleon, and I got this thing in my head that this gaming table that I'm making actually suits 2 periods. So it suits the Crusade era, and it hadn't changed dramatically. So the configuration you'll see at the end of this project works perfectly for 1799 when Napoleon himself seized the Ottomans and the British. So I got distracted by Napoleonic ships, but that helped me because modular kit that I used to make these ships, I used and remodeled a little bit to make those 2 Crusader cogs.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think, Lloyd, if you go up the project a little bit before that, you can actually see. Just keep going there.
Yeah, because you built up the back of the ships, didn't you? Yeah.
So I took the back. I realized these Crusader cogs had these kind of battlement kind of things. So what I did was I got it and actually just carved out the battlements, and then took it and rescaled it to shrink it for the forward part battlement, and then printed them out. And I was able to create 2 cute little cogs,
which look very nice.
Look really good.
Yeah,
I was really pleased with them. Yeah. Look, I am no modeler, I am no painter, I am just an amateur at all these different aspects, but I enjoy the variety of the different things that you can bring to bear in a project like this.
We are budgers.
That works well.
Yeah.
So this one here. So this is this. What's this made from?
Yep, that's made from the same stuff as the whatchamacallit, except the cannon holes have all been closed up, and I reshaped the back.
You made it a little more shorter, squatter, a little more rounder.
Yeah.
A little bit of 3D printing tinkering. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's groovy as hell. Yeah. And then I hit it with the model mates. So it's I also am a huge fan of the model mates. And
Hide by mistakes.
Great color tone effect. I have not found anything better.
He means dirty down, people.
Dirty down. Dirty down. Yeah. Dirty down and a wet paintbrush to kind of work it all into all the cracks and the crevices and the likes. The little
you need that varnish at the end.
The little Saracen ships are 3D prints from printable scenery. Another great resource.
If I remember right, that's where most of the walls came from as well.
Yeah. Most of the walls and the castle bits are all printable scenery. So I then got into painting, and it was a very simple paint job on these. You're just painting a bit of red and white on it. And then I got to thinking about flags. No,
like flags.
I didn't have the money or the time to go and buy flags. So I thought to myself, I wonder, could I make flags? So I asked AI to design me some crusade.
You even said hi. So.
Yes, I've said this in the project. Yes, I am one of these people who say please and thank you to their AI. You never know.
I mean, I would rather be a pet.
But there's that is Richard the Lionheart's sigil. They're the 3 lions. Mm-hmm. And I thought the AI did an incredible job of creating a representation of that. Remember, I'm doing it at 15 mil. So my flags are still pretty big at 15 mil. They're still twice the size of a man because I'm awesome. And so I then stuck, you get self-adhesive copper tape, stuck that to the back, folded them over, super glued them together, and then you had these moldable flags. And I was so impressed by what the AI was able to come up with. I just thought, oh, these are great. You know, when you don't have the time or the cash or whatever to go off and buy them, and you don't have the skills to sit and design them, like I couldn't design that. To ask an AI program to go in and say, look, can you design me some Crusader flags? Yeah, no problem, Warren. Here you go. So then I went, I got it in to do the Saracen ones as well. So I was explaining to it who Saladin was. And I said, can you create me some kind of like Saracen kind of Crusade era banners and flags? And look, I don't know if you read Arabic, it might be telling you horrible things. I don't know what it says, okay? But all I do know is it looks kind of Saracen-y to me.
So when the AI takes over, look to Warren because he's the one that gave it the education.
Yes, that's right.
Oh my God, all the things you must have fed into those engines.
Yeah. So the foam I discovered is beautiful as it is. So it didn't need sand textures and things like that. So a lot of little crevices and things that I had originally sculpted out because I was going to fill them with stones and stuff. I used those as the place points for the little bits of foliage and the likes that I was going to add just to break things up a bit because the Holy Lands is not completely arid. It's not arid at all. And then back to yet another dry fit. This was me now settling in on, this is the way the stronghold walls are going to work. But even by this stage, I had realized I didn't have enough components. So I was back to the 3D printer again to design up and print out some more components. But I'm really pleased by this stage, even though it's the Napoleonic ships, I'm still Napoleon. And by this stage,
honestly, I would be happy to go. That's gameable.
Yeah.
At that point, I'd say that's ready for gaming.
Well, it's missing a few bits, but it's getting there. And then came the port, and this is where I got to play with a little bit of MDF. So I had a few little leftover walkways, MDF wise. So I'd been playing around with how I was going to add the port, and I'd thought about adding the port to the southern end of the rear of the city, but that's not where the port went or was in that time. It was up at the northern end. So I finally got it positioned up at the northern end, which is the top photo. So I went through lots of different placements for the port. And then I went into it and started to really kind of tear into it to age it a good bit. So I went at all those little bits and really kind of cut into them and scraped them. And I got Maxie's little saw blade thing again. scraped, turned it
Going to
from
become a integral part of your hobby kit at this point.
that saw blade is amazing. But once you spray all that with your dirty down and it soaks all in, it's just great. Then you're just dry brushing with your brain matter beige, my new favorite paint of all time.
Good old dry brushing.
Oh man, it's awesome. So then into the home run, or into the final straight, you might say, little details. So I started to put into place the things like the little, what do you call them, balconies and the likes. Just started to get a feel for, does it break things up? And yes, it does. Painted up the little church. Again, like it's not fantastic paint jobs by any means, but hey, it works for me. And then finally, one other little tiny detail is I had 3D printed out these little hole in the wall kind of
nice little market stalls and stuff.
Little market
stall. SEO auditory running through this.
Yeah.
So I had printed them out. I wasn't planning on adding them because as you can see, my 3D prints didn't turn out particularly well.
This explains it. Because I was looking at them going, there's a surprising amount of depth to these. You actually got holes.
So then I thought to myself, I showed them to Andrew, and Andrew says, "Yeah, put them in. You built it. Put them in. It breaks up stuff." So I thought to myself, do you know what? I will, because it gives the walls a sense of there might be tons
narrative
things like that behind the walls, and so when they work their way into the gaming table and they look a little bit, they just break things up a little bit, So for me,
it's really giving me that Assassin's Creed vibe.
Yeah. That's I was looking at pictures of Assassin's Creed to
before someone tells you in the comments, Justin, it would be Altair, not Ezio, but there we go.
We can argue that in the comments, not right now.
So this was then, obviously, Acre is a city, so I had to at some point lay out the city. So I brought the little buildings out, trying to keep enough space between them for some skirmishy kind of battles and the likes. And my only problem was it was all a little bit white, so I made myself up a little bit of a wash just to...
that was what I was going to ask, actually, if you were going to do anything with it. Because that's the Battlefield in a Box stuff from the Upper Snow? Yeah.
Fast, easy stuff to lay down, but I wanted to bring it down, not too much, but down into tone with the rest of it. So it still looks white, but it will be white, but it's not as white.
Is this after it's toned? Surely that's before toning.
No, that's after the toning. I was just like I said, it was.
But that makes sense for the sandblasting the building would have took, bringing up like bits of the masonry below the actual like plaster on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very cool.
And then this is it. This is where my project finished for this time, for this stage. So you can see all my flags and all in place.
The little bloody bunny siege thing still.
Yes, my bunny siege thing is there. My Trojan bunny.
Yeah.
And
whoever built that didn't really consider the height of that gate.
That Trojan bunny has been the mascot of this project the entire way through. Yeah. I just need to get my 15 mil Monty Python Crusaders.
Really well done, Warren. I love the final result you've got on a lot of this.
And this is it. This is Acre by day. And
cool.
And all completely modular and rolls up
across two periods across the centuries.
Got to ask about the prepper jars on below the table there.
They are dice and rubble mixes.
Okay, sorry. I thought you're like home pickling stuff, planning for.
No. I store dice and rubble mixes and stuff in it. So
down into the streets. Very cool. Yeah. And you can just push the palms into the foam as well, can't you? So
cool.
Yeah. Cocktail skewer on the end.
Yeah, just little cocktail skewers on the end of the palms, and then I've just picked where they want to go, and I just plop them in.
Nice. Yeah, you don't even need that many. It really adds just a little flash of color.
That was it, and it is just a case of remember this has to be. It's never going to be the best of both worlds. It's never going to be as good as a sculpted table. And still be foldable away like a gaming mat. Okay?
I mean, for a half and half, it's pretty damn good.
But to try and get somewhere that meets in the middle, I'm happy enough to put that up against most of the terrain projects I've ever been involved in. And I think I'd be happy for anybody to play some Saga Age of Crusades or some other kind of a skirmishy thing on that. I'm a little bit proud of it. I really am. I marched Andrew down. I said, "Go on, Andrew, do you see my Acre?"
but the other thing is, if you take all of Acre off, you have a really good gaming table. You can put another set of buildings on to quickly change to 28 mil gaming as well.
Mm-hmm. It's I haven't even thought about where I can go with that, but
and guess what? With all of that work, Warren still didn't win.
No, I didn't win. And this is
the SQ,
and this is Acre by night, because who doesn't love a Mediterranean warm evening? So I have Acre by night. I will be exploring a little bit in more detail, but. Once again, just a quick change of the lights to turn them to the blue and to dull the rest of the lights in my little gaming room.
Just don't do Acre by blacklight. That's the
all the blood stains and
and Lloyd was so eager to play on that table.
That's ruined it for me now.
There you go.
You just stand there going, icky.
Yeah. Very cool.
So
nice done, Warren. Congrats.
That is the Siege of Acre, as much as I'm going to take it for this particular TerrainFest. I may revisit it because there are other things I would like to do. Like I'd like to add a little bit of dry brushing to the streets and things like that. But I didn't want to do any of that until I'd played a couple of games on it, just to get a feel for what would be the ideal kind of layout to it. So it's now going to get packed away. I'm going to take an opportunity to try and finish the minis for the two armies that are.
I was going to say, I want to see the armies on the table now. Yeah.
So I've got to get armies finished, and I'm going in. I'm going
what
to.
What are the armies?
So I have
15 mil multi-based. Are they?
Yes. So I have 15 mil multi-based on my 2P bases that the bases that the 3D printed bases that I use as standard throughout all my stuff. So they're on that. I haven't finished basing the Saracens yet. And then I'm going to go over it all, and I'm going to add in a ton of AI generated Crusader flags, just so as you get that scene from Kingdom of Heaven where they're
So this will be your spring clean challenge.
That could well be the spring clean challenge. Yeah. So, and Little Bird has told me that I might be getting some Napoleonics for Christmas at 15 mil. Ooh. So that I can actually cycle back round
very nice.
To the Napoleon Siege of 1799. Oh my God! Oh, I'm so excited! And I didn't win.
No.
But you know what? For anybody that ever participates in any of our challenges, see this feeling right now. I feel like I did win because I had a blast. I've loved every second of putting it together. And I fully intend, before I pack this thing away, to pour myself a little Jack Daniels or something and just sit and look at it for a couple of hours.
Oh, so you're not even going to play on it before you pack it away?
No, I'll not get the chance. If I can get a chance between now and Dungeonalia to finish the armies, I will take that chance and try to do it. But it very much depends on the workload that we face between now and the Dungeonalia launch 1st of December. So it's because I tend to get fully involved in Dungeonalia as well. So. So yeah, I just want to say I've had such a blast, and thank you to everybody who's been posting projects. You've been inspiring us all, and it's just been fantastic to share this experience with everyone. So, who won?
Well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, we have a couple of winners actually this time around. So we did say that there's the wonderful terrain bundle that we had sitting rating, but the lovely folks at Sarissa Precision also gave us a whole bunch of vouchers, some of which have already gone out to people in the community as part of Weekender prizes and things like that. But we've also got, as I say, a runner-up and a grand winner here. And the runner-up get
so we have a runner-up. And what's the runner-up going to win?
So the runner-up gets £100 Sarissa Precision voucher. Very cool. Yes, you can go and buy all the MDF you've ever wanted, or all the trains, or all the trains, as Lloyd would do. So yes,
that's great.
We'll start with
great. I can see our winner going. Hold on a minute.
Wait, I have something else to add. I want to do one very quick shout out, okay? Right. Because Maxi laughed his pants off at this, right? I forgot to mention it during Maxi's project. There's another link, Lloyd, there beneath Maxi's project. So Maxi did the Shaduf and put the Shaduf up, and I'd shared it on the Facebook. And at that moment, one of our community members, the intelligent Mr. Toad, had also basically done a Shaduf.
Was Maxi's better?
And he had to hand it to Maxi that Maxi out-Shadufed him, and he should have done something else. So this is some lovely work by the intelligent Mr. Toad. He's got some great bolt action stuff going on over on the projects. If you've never seen it, come across, check out it. It's his Stalingrad stuff. Mm-hmm. You got to check out. But anyway, he went all that hassle. He thought to himself, I'll build something completely unique. Nobody's going to build anything like this. And then the 8-year-old Maxi got in there just ahead of it. And to be fair, he was a great sport about it. I think he's even included Max down in the bottom of his project. So it's yes, Mr. Toad, my little boy got a real kick out of that. So, so thank you for the good competitive spirit. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, let's see this versus.
I think we'll give it to Maxi.
I think Max wins that.
Yeah. I see Maxi has the Super King tip thing there.
So yes, awesome stuff. But the runner-up. So this isn't the winner of the big terrain bundle, but this is the winner of the £100 Sarissa Precision voucher, and this goes to Deadzone for their fantastic project, which is all about the Groovy cabin.
Here's the thing, though, before we look at this, the winner's probably going to go, I'd rather have had the voucher.
Maybe.
Well, blame Justin for coming up with the train model. No. So, yes.
Right. So oh, my God, I know this cabin.
Exactly, yeah. So this was doubly awesome. Actually, triply awesome. Okay, right? So
that's not a shot from the movie. That's the actual cabin, isn't it?
That's the terrain.
Hang on. That's the room the stoner got pulled out from.
There you go.
What stoner?
This is from the Evil Dead, is it not?
The Evil Dead.
I thought this was from Cabin in the Woods.
Well, it could be both now.
No, it is a cabin in the woods, but it's not the cabin
from Evil Dead. Yeah. So this was one of the things that was really interesting about TerrainFest as a whole was that we were saying people need to get stuff to the tabletop. They need to bring terrain to the tabletop. They need to work on those projects that have been sitting around for a while, get them down there, actually get them built. This was something that Deadzone had been working on and then gone, can't really be bothered, whatever. But then spent the rest of the month of October, sitting down and fully detailing and building and crafting this awesome little tabletop. Now, this is obviously going to be great for doing a little bit of miniature wargaming on, but this was actually done as I have the Evil Dead board game. Why don't I make a 3D representation of this so that I can actually play the game on rather than just playing with the board? And honestly, it is just packed with character and interesting little bits and pieces when it comes to terrain crafting. Deadzone's gone in and done all the little bits of furniture and all that kind of stuff. It's obviously very cool because it came out during the month of October, which is also the spooky month. So going with that kind of vibe was also very nice as well. The other thing that was really good about it, and we saw it at the start of the project as Lloyd was looking through, was the photography is really cool. There's great weathering. There's all the nice little bits and pieces. So the cracked windows that have been made out of plastic and all that kind of stuff. And
instantly recognizable, Ben.
Instantly recognizable.
Well, I thought his photograph was from the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly thought it was from the movie. It was like, wow.
It's weird. I just want to go up and go blow all the leaves off.
Blow all the leaves off.
Yeah, but the thought to take a board game board and turn it into a mini wargaming board.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah. I also, and it's something actually interesting talking about leaves there. I love the placing of all the different elements to it. So going through and using just the right amount of leaves in different places to scatter on the roof and mixing with all the detritus that you see around the outside and all that kind of thing as well. Having all the rooms look exactly as they would have done from the movie and all that kind of thing as well. Putting in the grey for Linda and everything as well. I think it's just fantastic. It's just spoilers for The Evil Dead.
I think it's a bit like
the movie's 40-something years old now.
Oh, is the trapdoor inside?
Yeah. Everything is in there that you could expect from The Evil Dead. It has all been made and in some cases recreated for this. And I think it's genuinely a phenomenal little project that shows that, if stuff's been languishing, crack it back out and start getting back into it. That sprinkling spirit brought through into October. And then just all of the detail work finishing things off here was fantastic and a great use of the month's time, effectively.
Now he needs a shed to go with it for the chainsaw action.
Yeah.
Although even the little details of putting like some of the photos and stuff that were on the walls in the movie, very nice
and stuff. Yeah, and there you can see what the game board would look like, and then sort of translating that into the actual setup.
It's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I am blown away, my man. That's incredible work. So, congratulations. Well earned.
Something fun and inventive.
Where is the trapdoor? Was it under this mat or something? Where's that?
I can't. Isn't it in the kitchen or something?
All I can say is, don't you open that trap door.
Has he got the tape recorder?
Oh,
know, actually.
The tape recorder.
You'll have to ask Denzian about that.
Right. Let's move on then, because I want to see our winner.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's the question of, but what beats that? Because that's amazing.
The winner of TerrainFest that gets that wonderful terrain bundle that came with the Battle Zone from Terrace Nachman terrain, the Orcs Big Head Boss Bunker, the Sector Imperialis Ruins, the Battle Zone Mechanicus Galvanic Magnavent, and the Sector Mechanicus Sacrosanct Forge Shrine. Wow, that's a whole bunch of words.
All that shit we didn't want, man.
I was planning to do 2 of those until we said we need a prize.
So the winner of this is Guillotine for their phenomenal aircraft crash board that we
hang
saw.
on, this is the one I wanted to look at on the weekender and Jerry wouldn't let me.
Exactly. For a reason.
Oh my god.
Nice.
So the reason that this came out on top is because I think it sort of nails down something that Warren said at the start of the show when we were talking about boards and that kind of thing. It hits that I've seen this really awesome display style, diorama style piece of terrain that immediately gets you thinking about narrative and scenarios and everything else in between. It's also a great mixture of both 3D printed stuff, so it comes with the down plane that's from printable scenery, but also a whole bunch of additional bits and pieces that have sort of been cobbled together from traditional sort of hobby materials to build up the rocks and all that kind of things as well. And it's also been done in an interesting way because it's actually just a 2x2 space, but it's enough for playing a whole bunch of different skirmish games. So it's been designed so that it can be used for things like Drowned Earth, 7TV, Judge Dredd, and all that kind of things as well. And so there's still been space given over to the maneuvering of models and stuff on the tabletop as well. The other thing that I really like, and it's something that you'll see as we go through this as well, there's loads of other tiny little details and set-on pieces. So there's all the different sort of flora and fauna that's been built in there. Guillotine also worked on a whole bunch of sort of cargo crates and scenario objectives that can be thrown into the mix. All of the trees have been designed so that they're removable almost and modular. So if you want to take them out and move them around to give you more space for playing your games, you can do that. There's all the extra detail that's been worked into the plane itself. So you've got all the little sort of vines and weeds that they've got in there too, which I think is really good. And on top of all of that, everything in the project was broken down into kind of like how I did this and why I did this and all that kind of thing as well. So it hits a whole bunch of different nails on the head at the same time, almost like whack-a-moling an entire thing with like a sledgehammer, I guess. But it's a really awesome little terrain project that has created something really evocative and interesting and dynamic. And I just can't wait to see models and stuff on it and people having fun. It'd be really cool.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
What's it built from? We haven't even got to this bit. Does he show like what the actual board
I think
is
that
made
looks 3D
from?
printed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No,
so
not the airplane. The actual
Airplane.
it sits on.
yeah, there's a breakdown of
baseboard.
all the different pieces that came together to build it as well. So it shows off the building of the rubble and the actual baseboards and everything as well, like that. So
Oh, here's what it's like without all the trees. Then
so
it
that-
looks
that
very
sounds like
Highland.
magic.
It looks very Highlandy when you
Yes, it does
take all the
actually,
trees
yeah.
off.
But then I think he's went in with some pigments or something then to do some additional blending on that.
Yeah,
Oh, just look at it coming together.
Oh, now it looks like it's from Alive.
yeah. So it was an IKEA lac table as the baseboard. There you go. The jungle plants came from eBay. There was all the obviously modding materials that you'd find if you were going around and picking anything up from like Hobbycraft or whatever. And then there's the crashed aircraft, which was the STL file from Printable Scenery. So, and
But what is all this? Is this plaster? What is the
If you
action?
scroll down, you're going to find out.
I'm going.
We're going back in time. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Plaster, styrofoam,
Styrene,
so traditional.
Yeah.
there you go.
This is plaster Paris onto the styrene.
where's
The
3D?
raised areas were built with styrofoam to give it weight and glued in with PVA and cocktail sticks.
Started with a diagram.
And then a whole bunch.
All the best projects start with a
Exactly.
map or a diagram. You know what
Yeah.
can I say?
And you can see the attention to detail in that plan as well there, where he's actually put like a mini can fit through here, a mini can fit through here, and that's so actually thinking about it from a gaming sense. And I just love the idea that someone's like, the guillotine was like, I don't have the space to build a massive 4x4 or a 6x4 board or whatever, but I will build a dedicated 2x2 inspirational piece like this that I can play a whole bunch of different games on. I think it's really
Looks like it would be good enough to sit in a museum as a diorama.
It's
And-
incredible.
And as I said at the start of the show and throughout the show, it was so incredibly hard to work out. Like, I asked Jerry to give me a short list of 20 projects. He didn't. He gave me 36. And then I said,
But
can you cut
that's
it down?
standard operating procedure.
Yeah. And then he said, can you cut it down to 10? And he went, I'll give you 15. So it has been genuinely hard to look through this and pick out our winners. But as I say, congratulations to Guillotine, obviously Denzian as well for the runner-up. And congratulations to absolutely everybody who took part in this. As what started as maybe we should just do a month of terrain building turned into something massive. And that's basically down to all you folks in the community coming on board and helping, because it genuinely blew our socks off how good this was. So yeah. very cool.
These are the things that we exist for, guys. We love doing these community challenges with you. We're settling into the 3 big challenges a year. So congratulations,
summer off,
you guys. Get yourselves ready for Dungeonalia, because it's going to be a winter of dungeons now. Well done to Denizen. Massive congratulations to Guillotine, and a huge thank you to everybody else who's participated. You're all winners in our eyes. It's been amazing. Loved every second of it.
So yeah, thanks again to everybody for taking part. Remember, next year it's going to be coming back bigger and better than ever. It's going to be throughout the entire of autumn. Have some fun with that. Keep an eye out for Nudgenalia when it lands in December. And until next time, keep hobbying, keep using the project system, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.